But he said most of the shellers have in cold storage are seedling natives, and that's probably the reason price is going to be depressed on the seedlings. So they paid too much for them last year. They're not getting the price they want for them, so they don't want to let go of them. They're keeping them in cold storage, trying to keep from losing money. But having said that, he said the price should not be what we're seeing right now. Bergeron's, I know, has opened up a couple of locations. They have, their advertised price is 35 cents for hand pick and 45 cents for machine pick. Now, I can't understand that because it costs you 10 cents to clean them no matter what you do. So they're still trying to pay 35 cents for pecans. Bill's take on natives said, you know, this year, he said prices in general are probably going to be about 20% off. He said that we should be able to get rid of our natives for anywhere from 75 cents to $1. So that's pretty good. We can live with that. We can live with that, I think. But you're probably going to have to hold the buyer's feet to the fire because they're going to try to get some nuts cheap early, is what I've been hearing. China is looking for, he said they're looking for a Stewart blend this year, or something equivalent to it, at a 46 to 48% yield. They're willing to pay about $1.90 for that, he's saying. Although having said that, he said he had to work hard to book his crop, but he's booked his whole desirable crop with them for $2.40 a pound. And that's doing real good because he said they're not really wanting to book, but he had to work it real hard to get them to book it. So, you know, that's comparable to last year's prices. So hopefully maybe we can be edge up that way from the $1.90.
So that 211 million pounds that was in cold storage carryover was mostly all natives?
Yeah, that's what what is left now of that is mostly natives, yeah. Is what he's saying. Let's see, what else? The shellers had a convention and their crop forecast came out at 309 million pounds. He's saying that's high. He's figuring they had their meeting yesterday and I didn't talk to him, but he said it looked like their crop forecast is going to be around 280 million. And he said, having said that, you know, they've always said that if we can ever get our price to, our supply to stabilize, and for the last 4 years we've been at between 260 million to 280 million pounds, that our price ought to stabilize, but it hasn't. And he's working on trying to figure out why we're having such volatility in prices still with the supply kind of flatlining. You know, he said, and to me, if you know, 260 to 280 million, that's a lot of money, or a lot of guns. But he said that's a drop in the bucket in the grand scheme. So he said that's like no difference. So I was surprised at that. China's going to buy. The only problem he says that we may have with China is there is supposed to be a tariff on pecans. They're backdooring pecans into China through Vietnam right now. He said there has been some talk from the government that they may start cracking down on the tariff. Now, I'm sure they probably got some way to grease that, and you know, where it doesn't happen, it's just somebody's not getting paid or whatever in that communist government to overlook it. So maybe we'll be all right with there for a few more years. Then the India trip, I think Mike, did you hear from Mike? Did he go to India?
He did.
He did. So we did have a board member of ours go to India on the trade mission. Bill said that India looks promising, but the main problem with India is there is a 42-cent a pound tariff on pecans. And I'm sure it says tree nuts. But the only one that is exempt right now is almonds. They don't have to pay any tariff to ship almonds into India, and it's going pretty good. So they're going to have to work on that through the diplomatic channels to get that tariff removed, and then there's another good market for us. But so that's not going to happen as quick as China did, but it will happen eventually in 2 or 3 years probably. But So if we were hoping for India to come in and boost our prices again, or at least, you know, help hold them off, it's gonna be a little while off before that's gonna happen. So, that's about what I've got on price. Everybody looks like they got pretty good crop, I think. So, hopefully we won't let the wholesalers get to us too bad. You're gonna have to work it. You're gonna have to, you know, do a lot of marketing this year. But I think you'll be able to find some people that's gonna be, you know, be able to get ready for cons at a decent price. Just don't, and I hate to say it, but don't dump them early and, you know, try to get, because they're gonna try to get us early. I can see that already with the prices they're starting at. They're gonna try to accumulate some pecans early at a cheap price, and then,
Without asking a really silly question, okay?
no silly questions.
How would we, as producers, harvesters, try to come up with a cooperative effort to sell pecans? Is that even within the realm of possibility?
That could be a possibility.
I mean, I know
That's part of our problem in Louisiana. We don't work together real good. A lot of people want their crop to be lagniappe. They don't want to tell what the actual, if you go to the farm FSA and start talking about a loan, you can forget it, because they're working off of 400 pounds an acre in our biggest, you know, in Rapides Parish, Colfax, Natchitoches Parish. The parish average pecan yield is 400 pounds per acre, improved or native. And the price is nowhere near what we're getting for. And so we've got bad information in there. And the only way we can get that straightened is by us start to report some better information to the FSA. And that goes back to the same thing about being able to market. And we can work, we've got to start pulling together and working together. Texas, Mark Swanson, a board member of ours, is over, it's the reason he's not at the meeting today. He's over in Texas at the Pecan Producers Co-op. And he's over there researching some of this. And they're trying to figure out how we can move pecans this year if we have problems with natives. But also trying to figure out how we can do some of this stuff maybe in our state. And that's what we've got to do. We've got to start using this, thinking of this as a business more than just, you know, I got cows and I got some pecan trees, that's a little extra money. But pecans are good money if you do it right, and if we get the information. Georgia's got the information. Texas has got the information. We don't even have a state budget for pecan production. Every other crop produced in the state of Louisiana has a state budget that you can go to, and that gives you something to start at to make your own budget. But for us to use a budget, we have to use Mississippi's, they do have one, Georgia or Texas budgets to work off of. And our FSA office just, nah, that's not state. We need it from the Louisiana State Department of Agriculture.
Do we have anybody that is in tight with Strain? Tommy Strain, Dr. Strain?
Dr. Strain, no, they're not tight,
He wants
but
to be
we
our
have,
governor, okay, so maybe we could.
but we have.
We'll be represented here in a little while.
Yeah, and we have I have, Tom Vogel and I both have sat down and talked and had a meeting with him and talked to him.
He's a nice fella, he'll
He
listen.
is, and he listens, and he's willing to help. And our biggest thing he told us when we did meet with him 2 years ago was what we have done. Get this organization back as one organization. And that's helped a lot. But we've got to go forward with it. And we've got to start, like I said, working as a group, start getting some good numbers to these organizations. And then also we've got to start figuring out a way to come up with some funds for, you know, and I hate to say it, but you know, for it's check off, for instance. But I mean, we've got to come up with some way to start being able to have some funds to help with research, help the research stations if we can, and to help with marketing. Right now, the National Pecans not the shellers, but the National Pecan Growers Association has asked from our organization to give them $5,000 to help with all this marketing. And we are working on it right now. We're at the 3,000 mark, and the board members have agreed to go ahead and send them the 3,000. And we're trying to find out ways to fund this extra 2,000. But up to now, we've just been a drop in the bucket compared to what Georgia's putting. Georgia's the leader in it, but we don't want to be left behind. And sooner or later, they're going to say, "Hey, y'all not paying your share, or not even trying to pay your share. You're going to be left behind."
How does Georgia raise their funds?
Georgia raises their funds through something Stephen and I found out this year. They do have some golf tournaments and stuff like that, but I don't know how that would work in the state because I'm not a big golf fan. But and then other meetings. But we've also found out there's some grants we can get to help with these meetings and stuff like that. Whereas the funds we are spending on the meetings and even our convention, we could direct some of that to that instead of having to spend that money just to have a meeting, have a place to have a meeting and all that. So we're pursuing that, and that's one way we can do it. But I mean, Texas has they have a checkoff. I think 15 million. They gave a ton of money to the national pecan growers, and last year they didn't have hardly any pecans, but they still gave it. But now the other token is I have a friend that buys pecans over there, and every time they sell pecan, they get a receipt, and here they go to the FSA and turn it in, and they've got good numbers and good figures, and so last year when that drought, they made some pretty good money from their disaster relief because they had good numbers, and so there was a prime example of that last year, and of course he won't tell me exactly what he got, but I know one grower over there, and he said, "I'm doing okay." That's what he told me. "I'm doing all right." I said, "Well, how you gonna?" He said, "I'm doing all right." So he must have got some pretty good money out of it to still be. Because I know just from my own little orchard I have after the hurricane, whew, I'm still recovering from goose storm. And
How
it's
about
just
this last hurricane?
last hurricane didn't affect us that bad. We lost probably from everyone I've talked to, maybe 10% of the nuts, and the nuts we lost were probably going to be light stuff anyway, from what I'm seeing in my field. Some limb damage, but nothing as many pecans as we have on the trees. We were very lucky.
We got hit pretty good.
Where are you located at?
Pecan, just north of Lafayette.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, you did.
And we have 7 trees. I mean, we don't have a big orchard. We only have 50 trees. But we got 7 trees that it looked like someone just got out there and just wrung the branches out of the trees.
Go.
We've done, I'll say we got pretty close to half of our trees. We picked them up off the ground. We have them on the trail in the hot sun, but they're not going to be any good.
They're not going to be.
We had to get them off the ground anyway.
Yeah, right. My Early roads got hit pretty bad. But as far as we had in our orchard, we had I guess there's probably 3 acres. They must have been an upper twist or something, because the top 8 sets or 8 foot of those trees were just, like you said, twisted.
That's how ours is.
And now the rest of the orchard, there's a few trees this way, a few trees this way, nothing. The same thing on the side. But that one little area just wrung those tops of those limbs.
We're
And,
still losing branches every day.
Yeah.
They're cracked in the way to.
you'll lose branches till a year from now. You'll still get them.
It's because they're so loaded. I mean, they were really loaded and big pecans.
Well, what happens, you get stress in those limbs and cracks from doing that, and it may take a year for that limb to die. And you'll see a limb out there that just poof, gone.
So let's move on to her.
Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Trey is gonna, Decker's our board member. He's with, let's see, Trey, you work with the USDA also?
USDA, yeah.
And he's got a lot of speakers for us today that's got good topics, I think.
Yeah, you know, my day job, I work at USDA Rural Development. And we have two of our co-workers in our Rural Business Cooperatives Program Division that are going to speak today about some programs that may apply to us as growers. It's Kevin Boone and Judy Mesh. And I'll turn it over to you guys now. Y'all have some flyers you want me to hand out?
Yeah, we brought some, excuse me, Jim. We brought some, I think I left them over there.
Yeah, we kind of made ourselves at home and just left it.
We've got several programs that we have, and, yeah, we'll just pass out the flyer.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we appreciate the invite, and thank you, Trey, for letting us even know about you guys. Quite honestly, I'm an ag business major. I took an ornamental and fruit tree class, and you know, I was interested in going to the strip out in Lafayette. At that time, I wasn't too interested in pecan trees, but now I have a few pecan trees in my house. Can't understand why some grow one year, some have pecans one year and not the other, but I'm learning, I'm getting there. And I sure appreciate you letting us come out here and discuss the programs that we have. Basically, what I specifically do, I'm Kevin Boone with USDA Rural Development. We're an economic development arm of USDA. We're not an R&D type branch or research and development or any kind of science type branch of USDA. However, we could possibly get you into the right position if you do ask those questions. We typically help you with financing in the form of loans and also in the form of grants for just multiple projects from building courthouses to jails to apartment complexes to business opportunities as well. So what I specifically do in USDA Rural Development is provide energy efficiency grants for farmers and small business owners. Farmers and small business owners. I know those definitions differ among different USDA programs, but a farmer, as far as the definition for this energy efficiency grant, is defined as having at least 51% of your gross income must come from agricultural sales. Your agricultural sales, not leased property and you're getting a lease from agricultural leases. You have to actually produce, plant and harvest a crop. Pecans definitely fall into that definition if your income is above 51%.